people only see 25 minutes of us. You know what I mean? 25 minutes, but they don't see the hours and hours of training. So
hundreds of hours at this point in your life.
Hundreds on the mat. You know what I mean? And that nobody ever gonna take away from me. And because of that, I'm always gonna be a champion. A true champion is a champion that can get knocked down, and then we see how far he can bounce back up. A loss is a loss. It happens to the best of us. You know, even the greats got losses. You know, even the greats in other sports, Kobe Bryant. You know, Michael Jordan, the LeBron Jameses. You know, like all these guys is guys I put myself out after. You know, even Jay-Z. You know, guys like Jay-Z. You know, they had losses. You know, but look at where they're at now. Just hard work. You know, my grandpa was a man. My grandpa was an amazing guy. He was amazing. But he always instilled in us hard work. You know, if he found out what I was doing right now, you know, he passed away. But if he found out what he's doing right now, he's probably like, you know, he's probably up there looking down at me and just shaking his head, being like, "What are you doing, kid?" I had a great life. I can't say I had a bad life. I had this home. We always had hot water. We always had food on the table. I love my grandma and grandpa to death. I'll do anything for them. I was a champ before I had this belt. This don't mean nothing. It's cool. It's just showing you guys that, look, I'm valid. Like, it's validation to you guys. It's not validation to me. The validation is when I go in, blood, sweat, and tears that you guys don't see. Me not wanting to train. There's a lot of paths that you can take, and a lot of people, they always told me, oh, when you get faced with a certain situation, you can always go left or go right. You know, and I always just so happened to always pick the right path. You know, I picked the right path more than the bad path. So I was grateful for that. When you turn in your cards and you get your black belts and you put your time in on the mats, no one can ever take that away from you. You know, the belt, we can lose that one day. It's gone. But then at the end of the day, no one can, like the actual belt they can, but they can't take away of me being a champion of what I did. You know, the actual champion. People only see 25 minutes of us. You know what I mean? 25 minutes, but they don't see the hours and hours of training. So
hundreds of hours at this point in your life.
Hundreds on the mat. You know what I mean? And that nobody ever gonna take away from me. And because of that, I'm always gonna be a champion. I wake up and I tell myself, the guy that I'm gonna fight, he's probably training right now. So I need to go out there and show him how to train. You know. And it's a mindset thing. People got it way tougher than me. I always had a roof on my head. I always had clothes. I always had hot food to eat and stuff. That was because my grandma and grandpa. You know, if people follow my story, you know, my mom was, was a heavy drug addict. You know, my grandma was, not my grandma, but my dad was like, I don't even remember him being in my life. People had it harder than me. But I just want to show these guys, like, I was one of those kids before I met the coaches I'm with now. My team I'm with now I just had a chip on my shoulder. I always thought so, you know, like, people owed me stuff. The world owed me stuff. I was going around like, people owed me stuff. You owe me this. The world owed me that. You know, I'm not the best fighter from YNI, or I'm not even the best athlete from there. Like, I saw so many guys supposed to be in the league. They're supposed to be here while I'm sitting. They're supposed to be doing greater stuff than what they're doing now. But I always saw little stuff bring them back, and I always told myself, I'm not. No way. I used that as fuel. That was my fuel. And what the uncles is doing, they're all working construction. After work, they go, they drink every Friday. They meet up somewhere, they drink, popping bottles or whatever, and talk about what they did in high school. And I always told myself, that's not gonna be me. There's no way. I'm gonna let people talk. Let people talk about it. I just want people to know, like, you can do it. You know, like a lot of these guys is what they're used to is this is what happens. They become like, you know, the all-star. You know, whatever, the number one standout in the school. Yeah. And then they see their uncles, you know, and their uncles is there. Every Saturday, Sunday, we wake up he'd wake us up at 5:30 in the morning. We'd have breakfast made. He'd make us breakfast, and we'd be working. We'd be doing yard work or whatever we can do, and we couldn't finish nothing. We couldn't go out and play with our friends until we finished our yard work or do whatever we had to do. He wanted me to go work a job, you know, have a family, and then just keep working hard for my family and stuff. So I'm sure he's happy, but, you know, at the end of the day, he just instilled hard work in us. You know, he was one of those guys that, like, before I could go out and play with my friends, I had to do my homework. We had to do chores. It's a mentality thing. It's just something that to do with IQ and something. That's the only thing that changed. Like, we're all good. We're all at the mecca of fighting. The UFC is where everybody wants to be. But what makes you a champ? What makes me a champion? You not. Something gotta be it. Like, you can lift more weights than me, though. You know what I mean? Like, if we're the same weight class,
there comes a point where like you're pretty much good. Like everything can get you by. You got here already. But now the only thing different that's gonna get you to the top 15 is mental. And then from 15 to 10, the only difference between those guys is mental. And then from 10 to 5, same thing. And then from champion and everybody else, it's a mental. You're stronger than me. You're faster than me. What is the difference?
What is the difference?
I believe it's that passport to crazy land. It's that mental. It's that thing like I'm willing to do something that I don't know if you even thought of doing it or if it's presented with you that if you're going to take that chance, you know. And when they get there, instead of pushing through, they never had to. And then there's that kid that was like just always just kind of made the team. And then he's there with you and he sees that and he see you break and that pushes him. And then now he's with those guys who's freak athletes, but they all have the mind. That's the downfall with a lot of these guys, you know. A lot of these guys is like they're just like all-stars in their town and playing regular sports, you know what I mean? You see it all the time. They're just all-stars in their towns, whatever, and then they go to the other stuff and then they're just another guy. Yeah. There's somebody that's faster, stronger, and better than you, you know?
Giving people the opportunity to actually try it, you know, to introduce people not to the sport, but to martial art, you know, and just be like, look, if you guys just tried it, you know, so much people say, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to do it. Just try it and they figure out they did it. Life is like roadblocks, you know, chutes and ladders. That's what it is, you know. The first time I lost to Dustin, we had to rebuild. You know, I had to rebuild. I had to add new coaches on my team. My body looked different after that first one. And, you know, this second one, you're not going to change, you know. It's not going to change nothing. This is the second one. We get to rebuild. Things happen for a reason. I truly believe things happen for a reason. That fight happened for a reason. That place, that time, it had to happen in this life. And you guys going to see a new and improved Bless, you know. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And the best is blessed, baby. You can only do so much with success. You can keep going and success, and some guy would have success for the rest of his life and not change nothing just because he knows that's one way of success, you know. And you know, these failures, they gotta happen, you know. And I attack them straight forward. I'm happy for this, you know. It is what it is. That thing was out of my control, you know. That fight is out of my control. I can't control it. I can control my feelings, and that was one step, you know. Like I said, that whole 2018 before the Ortega fight. The depression is real, you know, and I had to go to that spot and find out who was there for me, who reached out, you know, and who was there supporting me. I ain't no complainer, and I ain't about taking away from someone's win. You know, he beat the best Max. I trained, I did my camp, I did everything that I usually do. He's just a better man, you know. He was just a better man that night, and respect to him. That's just me. I'm competitive, you know. I want to compete with the best, and that's what you want to do, you know. Like I said this many times before, in the old gladiator days, they didn't bring out scales. They didn't bring out anything. You just fought, you know. And if you think you're the best, number one pound for pound in the world, that's what you do. You fight. It's with the fans. We live in a time where if the fans want to see the fight, the fans is somehow going to make it happen, you know. And that's what I learned in this sport. You know, I learned in this sport, you know, you want strong nuggets.
Negotiations get the fans behind you. We saw crazy things happen in this sport because of fans negotiations. So, no disrespect to anyone. There's one thing in this sport that I learned. Like I said, I got 20-something fights. I'm a vet. I'm a vet in your guys' eyes. And if I could tell you I learned anything of being a vet in this sport and all the support and whatever, the number one negotiating that you gotta do is not with UFC.
People was doubting me, all my cousin them, they was telling me I couldn't do this, do that, I'm not ready. But Colin, Shice, Josh, Keanu, the whole Team Ruthless team was telling me, bro, you get this. You got him, and I believed them. I fight for why not, like, trying to show people that you're not bad kid, like, fighting in the ring is more better than on the streets. You shouldn't even give up. Like, what is that? Like, that, if you give up, you certified a loser. If you try, you at least a winner in your book.